guys, welcome to Bastian Time. This is This Week in Nintendo News. I'm your host Bastian, and I know I spoke about this yesterday and then even the day before, but I just want to be super clear, and it is This Week in Nintendo News is simply Nintendo news from Tuesday and Nintendo news from Thursday shoved together back to back. So if you've already seen those two mini episodes, no point really in watching this one unless for whatever reason you want to, and I welcome that. But I just don't want anybody to be rewatching a video that they've already seen or feel like they've seen, because a couple weeks ago there was a whole bunch of confusion from a couple people about what the This Week in videos were all about. So now you know. I hope that's clear. Back on the main page, click on the Bastian Time button over there, and that will show you a schedule on the side of exactly which videos are on which days, and that way we're all on the same page. But anyways, let's get to that first story. So first of all, it turns out that the Wii U's SD card works a little bit differently than the Wii's SD card. You might remember that for the Wii SD card, you were able to transfer your WiiWare games basically onto it, your downloadable software. And this was awesome because if you were running out of room on your Wii's hard drive, you could just transfer it over onto the SD card and not have to worry. You could even use that SD card and take it over to a friend's house and then be able to play the game on their Wii. This might be why Nintendo has decided to nix that possibility. Maybe there was some sharing of games in a way that they thought was illegal or not appropriate. I mean, it certainly did allow for people to create things like the homebrew channel and so on, things that utilized assets from various games and then created new games out of them, or even brand new games, non-Nintendo sanctioned games basically. So I think this is their way of making sure that doesn't happen. Anyways, there's that. Speaking of the Wii U, as various gaming websites and publications that were receiving their Wii U's, they pointed out something that's pretty unusual, which is a mysterious port that Nintendo hasn't really talked a lot about. And in the instruction manual, it refers to it as the controller accessories port, which I can't even imagine what sort of accessories you'd want to plug into the GamePad. It just seems like plugging anything into it extra would be sort of cumbersome besides, the headphones or whatever. Maybe you'll plug the balance board directly into it instead of into your Wii U, or I don't know. I can't even fathom. If you have any ideas as far as what you think they're going to be using this controller accessories port for, let me know down in the comments, because I have no idea. Now let's jump back a generation to the Wii, and out of nowhere today, Nintendo has released a YouTube app for the Wii, and what's interesting about it is it's completely designed around the Wii remote. It's just interesting, though, that it's taken them until now, until the Wii U is just about to come out, to have created this app for the Wii, but it looks like it'll be fun to check out YouTube videos, to watch my videos even. Wow, that was cheesy. On your Wii, so yeah, you can if you want. Speaking of apps for your Nintendo platforms, there is now a Twitter sort of app for your 3DS, so if you want to tweet from your 3DS and want to know how you can do that, there's a link for you describing that down below. And then our next story is about New Super Mario Bros. U, and the fact that if you were planning on purchasing a copy from Amazon and have not yet already ordered it, you're kind of out of luck, because at this point all copies of the game are sold out at Amazon, so you'll have to be looking elsewhere for your New Super Mario Bros. U. It looks like it's a great game, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, you're gonna have to look elsewhere for that. Sorry. Another fact about New Super Mario Bros. U is that, and this is kind of interesting, there is no Nunchuck support for it. Now, there was for New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I think that maybe the reason why there isn't for New Super Mario Bros. U is because, I mean, let's be honest here, how many of you actually used the Nunchuck connected to the Wii remote as your way of playing New Super Mario Bros. Wii? I know I haven't, and that's just because holding the Wii controller sideways just felt so right. It felt like you were playing it on an old-school NES GamePad, for instance. So I can't imagine that there were too many people who actually utilized the Nunchuck, and probably Nintendo figured, nobody actually used that, let's not even waste time on implementing that. So I hope you weren't looking forward to using the Nunchuck on that game. And if you were thinking that maybe before purchasing that game you wanted to rent it somewhere, you'll be glad to know that GameFly has decided that yes, they are going to have Wii U games. I'm not sure why that was even a consideration that they would or wouldn't, but yes, they will have Wii U games for renting purposes. You'll want to check out GameFly's website to see specifically which Wii U games they have available, but anyways, that's kind of cool. Our next story is some random bits of original Super Mario Bros. Trivia, or I guess just for the whole Mario Bros. Series in general, and that is that Bowser was originally meant to be an ox. Miyamoto explains that he had seen an ox in some sort of cartoon and thought that he really wanted to base the villain for his video game sort of on that design. So that kind of explains why to this day, even this current interpretation of Bowser, he's got that sort of snout thing going on, which is not very turtle or reptile-like, which of course is what the Koopa Clan are supposed to be. But anyways, it's interesting to know that Bowser was originally meant to be an ox. People have discovered something kind of interesting about Nintendo Land, which is that in the menu there is something that makes it look like there's a slot reserved for downloadable content. I don't really know exactly what this downloadable content could be. I think it's too much to hope for completely brand new attractions, although that would be awesome, and I really think Nintendo should strongly consider that as an option. But failing that, certainly things like adding new stages to those existing attractions, I hope it doesn't just come down to something as simple as bonuses or trophies or new types of achievements or something. That would be kind of lame if that's all it was. I'm pretty sure that they'll utilize it for adding new stages to those attractions, and that would be awesome. That would be a great way of continuing to build upon the idea of that sort of theme park thing. So that would be great. If they took it all the way to the next level of, in the future, adding new attractions, that'd be awesome. And then our final story is actually a couple of weeks old, and that's totally my fault. And what's so weird about it is that I was so extremely excited about it when I first heard about it, and I first heard about it kind of right at the get-go of when news started coming out about it, because I was sort of on the pulse of it at that time, and that is the fact that there is going to be a new, well, sort of new, Dragon Quest game for the 3DS. What it is a remake of Dragon Quest VII. Dragon Quest VII has a very unusual history. It actually was released a long time ago for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, and it was one of the first games released for the original PlayStation, and it was back then called Dragon Warrior 7, and that's because the first release games all the way up until Dragon Quest VIII had to be called Dragon Warrior, because even though the name was actually Dragon Quest. The term Dragon Quest was trademarked by a completely different company over here in America, so they had to call it Dragon Warrior for the longest time. But that cleared up after Dragon Quest VIII. So anyways, now it will have its actual name, so that's one improvement. Also, they have completely redesigned the graphical style, and that's for the best, because I kind of had issue with Dragon Quest VII. It's the only Dragon Quest game that I've played that I haven't completed, and I feel like a lot of that is down to its menu design, which was, in my opinion, unbearably intricately complicated and not user-friendly. And its graphical style was just kind of weird. I guess what they wanted to do is keep true to sprites. So they had sprites, even though this was the dawn of polygon 3D models, they had sprites for the characters and so on, and then the world itself was 3D rendered, and they overcomplicated things by forcing you to need to shift your perspective around. I can't really describe it very well. You'd have to sort of play it, but it was just annoying. And anyways, I'm really looking forward to this remake, because it looks like they went back and changed all of those things that annoyed me and caused me to stop playing about halfway through the game, and improved upon those. They're adding a whole bunch of new content. It looks like they might even be using the Dragon Quest IX engine, because, for instance, starting in Dragon Quest VIII and then again in Dragon Quest IX, instead of just random encounters, you would see graphical representations of the enemies on the screen, and then you could decide whether you wanted to approach them or not. Some of them were really fast and would chase you down, and didn't really have much choice in the matter, but anyways, I think that's a much better design choice in general, and I'm glad to see that they're reusing that from those games. This is definitely a game that needed a remake, and it's just going to sort of open the door of possibility to many people who would have never had the chance to play Dragon Quest VII. Now we're going to be able to, assuming that it's going to be localized in America. There's still no word on it being localized outside of Japan, but of course it will be, and I can't wait. So that's it for this week in Nintendo news. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.